Hi everyone, it's me, yes, the lady of the house. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about basically the beginning of transition when you first decide to go full time and sticking with it, because the beginning of when you first transition is, I think, the most difficult part, because once you've made that decision to go full time, it kind of immediately starts the beginning of the race, as it were, for you to get all the things you want to get done. Um, and it starts that clock ticking, or at least it should, because it kind of, that for me was a big push, sort of promotion, as it were, to push me forward into transitioning. And I found the hardest part. And I've heard other girls say on videos and stuff that you should, transition slowly, which I think is a good thing to do, because I didn't really do mine like that. Obviously, my family and friends knew that I felt the way I felt from a lot younger than what I was when I transitioned, but um, I kind of got to a point where I was like, right, I want to go full time now, and so I started to go out in the evenings dressed as a woman, but obviously during the day, because I still had a normal job at the time, I was working, well, as androgynous as possible. I mean, I still had acrylic nails and I had long hair, but I was, still going under male pronouns, as it were. I think that's the correct terminology, um, which, kind of should spur you on to go completely full time, because having to switch between the two is really horrible. I found it really horrible, really uncomfortable, because once you realize how much better you feel living full time as a woman, just that time that you are dressed as a woman, it really spurs you on to try and change things so that you can do it, all the time. But there's some difficult points that come along doing that, because once you decide to go full time, if you haven't had any laser yet, you have stubble and things like that, just simple things like going to the shop to buy cigarettes or, milk or anything like that in your corner shop, if you don't live, close to a big supermarket, is that you're going to have to put all your makeup on and shave, just to go to the shop to buy milk or anything, because it's really important to keep everything up. Once you've decided to go full time, you can't you think, oh, I'm just going to pop to the shop as a man. But then when I go out all the other times, I'll be female, because, of course, that's going to give the wrong impression to people around you. And then you can't expect people to call you she, her, when they see you dressed as a man occasionally. It's also going to confuse people as well. So you need to, once you've decided to go full time, you have to be consistent. I think that's the word I'm looking for. You have to be consistent. Um, and now I know that going out in public is really daunting and it's really scary. I can still remember the first time that I went out in public, and it's a big thing, and it's really, really scary. I'm not going to lie, it's scary, but it's one of those things that the more you do it, the more comfortable you become, and the more you do it, the more you won't care about what other people think. And I think it's more about the unknown, and I think you're so worried that people are gonna spook you straight away, and obviously you're worried about your safety, which is important. Something you should always be worried about is your safety. But I think once you've done it, the more you do it, you realise that you are able to move about pretty fine without anyone saying anything or giving you funny looks and things like that. But it's more about making yourself feel comfortable when you leave the house. You want to make sure that you're able to do this, because you're going to be living like this for the rest of your life, presumably. I know everyone's different, but as far as I'm concerned, once I went full time, that was it. There's no turning back. I am who I am. I can't change that. So once you decide to live the way you're supposed to live, you just need to get on with it. And I think that's what it is. It's, I think you need to, the best way for me that I found works is that there's never going to be an end to the transition. You're always transitioning, you're always learning, you're always growing. So you can't look at it as like, well, once I finish this, then I'm done, and when I've done this, I'm done. Regardless of whether you're trans anyway, we're all a work in progress, and you have to consistently work on yourself to move forward, mentally and physically, and that's including all the pressures that we have in everyday life anyway. So I understand that it's a big struggle and stuff, but that's the most important thing, I think: consistency with your transition. And it doesn't matter if you hit a few points where it's slowed down for a while or it's on hold a little bit, because certain things cost money, with hormones and surgeries and things like that, if you choose to have any surgeries. So I can understand that it's difficult. We don't all have a lot of money. And finding jobs in itself is a nightmare anyway for when you're trans. So I get that, but it doesn't mean that you're not progressing still, or you're not transitioning still, or you're not even transsexual still. It just means that you've hit a slow patch, and you're standing still for a moment, but it won't change the fact that you're still transitioning. And I think sometimes we get caught up on some of those things. I've had a lot of friends say, oh, I haven't had any more laser yet, and this is a problem. I haven't changed my name yet, I haven't done this. Don't let those things depress you. Just let those things make you move forward quicker. It's a goal. It's another goal for you to work on. And there is no rush. I understand that we all want to become the way we want to live our lives as quick as possible, so that we can enjoy it while we're young, or as young as possible. But there's no rush. Quality over quantity, as it were. You want to get things right, and you want to be happy with the way you've done things, as opposed to kind of thinking, oh, I shouldn't have done that so quick, or that I rushed that a bit. That wasn't kind of how I wanted it to be. I understand. I do understand, but it's always going to be a slow process. But do it properly, and don't rush things. That's it for today. That was just a kind of little quick one, but I just wanted to say that because I realised that the beginning parts of transition is difficult. It's really difficult. Um, and again, if anyone wants any advice, or they want to talk or anything, I'm here. I'm here to talk. I'm here to discuss things. So leave me some comments in the bottom, in the description box below. I put videos out every Sunday and Wednesday. Please like, share, and subscribe. Lots of love.